Welcome to the DNC Real Estate Show. I'm C.
I'm D.
Hey, and today we want to talk about earnest money. And is it required on contracts? And, where does it go from the purchase standpoint on the contract and with your application? So a lot of people aren't familiar with it. So David, why don't you share with everyone from the purchase contract side of things, what is earnest money and why do we want to have it involved?
Okay. Well, technically, no, it's not required earnest money.
Okay.
Technically.
Okay.
But you got the contract between buyer and seller, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I have, depends on kind of what your market. If you're really in the down market, really down market, and I want to sell my house, maybe I might do a promissory note. But here in Denver, Colorado, not happening.
Yeah.
You got to put some skin in the game, and that's really what it is. Earnest money is really a deposit. Okay, I'm serious about this transaction.
Okay.
Okay, so my job as a realtor is to set dates and deadlines that we need as buyers. If I'm working for the buyer, dates and deadlines where we need to fulfill our commitment to this contract to close on a certain date.
Okay, that makes sense.
So earnest money is the money that presented to you. Typically is between 1% to 5%.
Wow.
Depending on, yes, 1% to 5%. So over $300,000, most people say earnest money $3,000.
Okay.
Okay. So that's typically what earnest money is. You want to have skin in the game. So my job as a realtor is protecting earnest money at no cost.
Okay.
That's my job, So if I'm representing the buyer, we have some dates that we need to meet. First of all, used to be the HOA documents. We read the HOA documents. Say for instance, the HOA documents we don't have no pets at this place. My clients have a pet. They want to get out. Typically, we want to get out during the HOA documents period.
Sure.
You let that deadline pass, you can't get out. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So next is usually you have your inspection, where most of the time, if you're going to come to issues, it's during inspection. That's go through negotiation. As long as you meet your deadline and it's a legitimate issue, and through negotiations or whatever,
Sure.
as long as you meet it and you meet your deadline, typically you get your earnest money back.
Sure, everything's negotiable, right?
Right. Now, when you don't get your earnest money back, it's just like, look, I don't want this property. You're not really in good faith. It's like, you got 2 days before closing. You know what? That's the side I don't really want it. You pass all your deadlines, da-da-da. Now, the seller can come back to you because they felt that they lost some money and said, I'm keeping your earnest money then.
Absolutely.
You didn't fulfill the deal in the contract. So that's kind of from our perspective and my job. And if it doesn't, another one, if it doesn't appraise for value,
sure,
you have a deadline there. Now, if that deadline passed, now you could lose that earnest money.
Sure.
But as long as that appraiser come back and it doesn't, you can jump out at that time. Now, on the mortgage side of it, how does earnest money affect you?
Okay. Well, from a lender standpoint, we're kind of in the same position. I don't want to say we'd like to see earnest money on the contract, but it lets us know that the buyer is for real about purchasing the property and that they're going to fulfill all the items needed to get the loan done. So from what I've seen for clients that have earnest money in the transaction, they're a lot more willing to go through the things that it takes to get the loan completed. And I'll give you an example. I do a lot of purchases where they're buying from family members and equity is being gifted, and I set them up so that they don't have to have any money in the transaction. But when they don't have money in the transaction, they're not always as motivated to get you documentation and meet the deadlines that are required to get the loan closed. But from a lending standpoint, that earnest money is going to do that for us. And what we're going to do is we're going to count that towards your closing costs. So if you've got 1 to 3% calculated into the contract, in that scenario that David said, hey, you got a $300,000 purchase, you got $3,000 of earnest money in there, we're going to take that earnest money from your bottom line. it's going to be calculated as part of your down payment and your closing costs, and it'll be less funds that you have to come to the closing table with when you get down to the end. So I've even had some VA deals where, hey, that earnest money, and once you get to 100%, you're at money coming back to you.
Absolutely. I've seen it happen.
When you're dealing with CHAPA, as long as you have $1,000 of your own funds in there, you can actually get the rest of that money back. So I've actually seen buyers get a check at closing based on the
Absolutely. Because it's deposit. So you get your money back if it's money, once you pay a certain amount of money for the closing cost.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So it's a way to get some of that money back if needed. So anything else you want to talk about earnest money, David?
That's about it, bud.
Okay, well, hey, why don't you give everybody your information, tell them how to get a hold of you.
Okay, David Babineau, Caldwell Banker Realty. Phone number is 303-903-0395, or you can go to my website at mynewhomeincolorado.com. I'll go to social media. We can hook up on social media, the realestateman247.com. Have a blessed day.
Oh, well, hey, how about
you want to give me your information too, don't you?
Hey, Calvin Mallard at Fairway Independent Mortgage. Reach out to me direct at 720-364-9726. You can apply online at loansbycalvin.com. You can look me up on Google and Facebook at Loans by Calvin.
All right.
All right, now everybody.
Now we can go. Day. Have a blessed day, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.